Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to talk about a few things: tech suits, in-season swimming, the NCAA's right now on some dual meets, some fast dual meets that are going on. And yeah, I'm not going to go in too deep into any particular topic, but there's been a lot of fuss going on right now, especially at a dual meet between Virginia and Texas, the best women's team and the second best men's team on last year NCAA standings at least. And there's this epic dual meet going on, and there's lights, they're ISLifying things, there's packed stadiums. It's super exciting. One thing that I've noticed is very odd is that the women are wearing training suits, but the men are wearing tech suits, jammers, race suits. The Texas guys are wearing their Mizunos, I love that. And the Virginia guys generally wear arena suits. That's their program sponsor. And I just think that concept at the very least is kind of weird, that the women's have sort of decided, probably amongst coaches, that no, we're not going to suit up, it's in season. That's kind of dual meet tradition in the USA. And the men have decided, no, let's go fast. Some guys have literally just come over from a World Cup and they want to go fast. They want to put a suit on, get an NCAA Cup, whatever, just go fast, right? Race at your best. And you can look at what we were doing as a program when I'm coaching people like Chad Leclos and Max Litchfield at the end of last season. We're putting suits on 2-3 times a week in training. So if you're going to put suits on that much in training, why would you not race in them? It kind of blows my mind. And if I was a US college coach and I had dual meets, I'd ask the other team, I want my guys suiting up. Can we suit up? I think it's good for spectators. I think it's good for the swimmers. I think it's just good for the sport. And it's probably why Eddie Reese and Todd DeSorbo have decided that their guys were going to wear jammers at this meet. But the reason we got here is actually because everyone's making a massive fuss about one athlete in particular, and that is Gretchen Walsh. Virginia superstar, missed the World Champs team famously at the US Trials, just been and gone, last summer, by 0.01. I'm pretty sure that was in the 50 freestyle. Sister of Alex Walsh, Olympic medalist in the 200 meter IM. And Gretchen's like this super versatile sprinter, especially in the short course yard. She can do the freestyle, she can do the backstroke, and the race we're going to look at now is the 100 meter IM, which she actually swam the fastest 100 IM of all time in a training costume, and that was the fuss. There's a few factors to account for here. The first factor is that the 100 IM is not swum at NCAA's. The 100 IM is not really an event that's swum often in the yards. If you think short course meet is 100 IM doesn't get swum much, then the short course yards 100 IM really doesn't. I don't even know. I know most world records, both long course meters, short course yards. I think I could go through the women's list right now off the top of my head and almost get the times. I have no idea who was the fastest 100 IM yards before this swim by Gretchen, this dual meet training suit swim. So that's the first sort of preface to this swim. The next thing to take into account is that Gretchen seems to have this sort of mental block with tech suits, and I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know Gretchen. This is just a onlooker seeing things go on where, to a point that a coach, Todd, actually in the long course season said until you swim a certain time, which she never disclosed, you have to wear training suits to meets. And she ends up swimming a ridiculously fast 100 freestyle long course meters in a standard training suit, and then for the final meet of the season she put a race suit on and went even faster. But I think it's probably less about the training suit and the suits, but more probably about the mindset of being, really good at training. And I can imagine Gretchen's a great trainer. And I've coached athletes like that who are just phenomenal in training and they end up not going much faster at all, if not slower, in a meet, in a suit. And you're like, well, that doesn't even make sense. Just by putting the suit on, you should be faster. But then they will push a time that's outrageous. And I can imagine, from interviews and stuff, that Gretchen's someone who can push backstroke times that are wow. And dives a stand-up 100 IM at the end of practice and goes maybe even quicker than this swim was. Because all these swims are back-to-back, and while on a completely technical front, you should be slower by doing loads of events back-to-back. You're more fatigued, you're more tired, you're not wearing a race suit. And look, I don't know how much race suits, I'm not going to go too deep into that conversation. I don't know how much difference race suits make. I maybe one day I'll go down and try and make some sort of fair test and go back and forth. Maybe one day I'll start with a race suit, do a race, then do it without a race suit. The next day I'll do the other way around. I can test it. It'll be a fun video. I'm going to do that in the next couple of weeks. But you know, they make a difference. They make you faster, and the women's suits probably make you even faster than men's suits because they have more coverage. You know, it's just physics, I guess. The scientist here. So by all, you know, intents and purposes, in a race with a race suit where you're rested, you've had an optimal warm-up, you've not had a race before it, that should be the fastest you swim. But then when you factor in the head, and that's always the biggest factor in all things swimming, things go very differently. And that's when, you know, you might end up swimming faster just after a 50 freestyle with a training suit, you know, in your home pool with your mates around you, in less intense, pressured environments. And that seems to be something that maybe Gretchen's dealing with, and maybe why the training suit thing has become, you know, almost a bit of a meme at this point, that Gretchen has just swum another world best or fastest time or NCAA ranked #1 swim in a training suit, and she went a 21.1 50-yard free, I think just before this 52.0 100 IM, and she's a great swimmer, you know. And yard swimming is it's another thing altogether. And I don't know, having just watched the World Cups and these short course swims back to back, I kind of can't help but think yards is not as impressive as I think people make out, because, you know, someone like Josh Liendo wasn't swimming great at the World Cups. I mean, he's making finals, fair play to him. And when I say great, I mean, you know, as good as he can. He's a Commonwealth champion, he's a world short course medalist, and he's nowhere near that form. And then he goes in as a dual meet literally the week after, goes like one of the fastest times in the country in the 50-yard freestyle, and everyone's making a big fuss about it, and I'm just like, whoa, you know, Ilya Karun just broke his national record, you know, he's 17 and phenomenal. I'm not dissing him, but you kind of get the point that I'm making. And I think yards times get kind of blown up, and I even saw something on Twitter the other day that was like, so-and-so done this short course meet as it converts. Oh yeah, it was Tomoru Honda's world record in the 200 fly, and someone converted it to yards and then like blew it out, like basically converted a world record by 1.5 seconds to basically the same as what the fastest short course yard 200 flies. And I was like, whoa, no. This is way quicker, you know. And that's kind of like this perception that the conversions are just, they boost short course yard swimming. And that's not to say some short course yard swims would have been great in short course meters, and I would love all short course yards just to be short course meters now, because it's clear that, you know, people are turning up and they're doing their first short course meter events at these World Cups, and they're going, you know, Katie in her first 1500 and 800 short course sets world records. You know, there's no two ways about it. These people are clearly good, and they convert and they compare, but it's not the same thing. So yeah, we also saw, as you watched this and I talked, you saw Jordan Crooks swim a 50-yard free in training. Again, a really good swim, but about half a second off his best if you count the hand timing, maybe a little bit more in reality if there was electronic pads. But then, you know, we all know that when you're relaxed, it's easy to swim fast, and I think that's the biggest thing here. But yeah, maybe this hasn't really answered your question as do tech suits make much of a difference, but I think it's inspired a video that I'm going to go make, where I'm going to try and do some tests and versus a speedo and a racing suit, and I'll, you know, try and make it fair. Obviously you can't, there's fatigue and there's all sorts, but I'll do as much of a control as I can. And if you want to see that video, subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed this video of me just rambling about swimming stuff, then please like, subscribe, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.